It's really kind of fascinating how much our idea of a workplace has shifted, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we used to think office, and it was this one very specific picture,
Yeah.
but now it seems like the whole concept is opening up with tons of different options.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think for anyone listening, whether you're running your own business or freelancing or just interested in the future of work, understanding these new ways of working is so important.
Absolutely. You got to keep up with the changes, see how things are evolving.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really what we're aiming for here, giving you a breakdown of these key trends.
So today we're diving into the world of co-working spaces, specifically in Singapore.
All right, co-working.
Think shared work environments,
Yeah,
a real buzz of activity, tons of flexibility, and this sense of community.
definitely.
It's not just about having a desk, it's like a whole different approach to work.
Absolutely. It really is.
And Singapore, man, they've really embraced this.
Yeah, big time.
You see startups, freelancers, even big companies, they're all seeing the advantages.
It's definitely a sign of the times how workspace needs are changing.
For sure. And we've got a ton of information to unpack today, all about understanding this modern way of working in Singapore.
Right, breaking it down.
Our mission here is to give you the core knowledge about co-working spaces in Singapore,
Yeah, the essentials.
so you can really get a grip on the benefits, the features, all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
So let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
When we talk about a co-working space, what exactly are we talking about? What's the definition?
Well, at its heart, a co-working space is a shared work environment
Okay.
where you have people from all sorts of companies, all different industries, all working in the same place.
Right.
And that's really different from the traditional office model,
Yeah, that classic setup.
where you've got everyone from the same company and their assigned spots.
Yeah.
Co-working spaces are all about that mix.
Mm-hmm.
You've got open desks, you've got private offices you can rent. It's very adaptable.
Right.
The
Right.
whole thing is built on flexibility and building this sense of community.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic ecosystem, not just a static office.
I like that, a dynamic ecosystem.
Yeah.
So it's moving away from that kind of rigid company-focused structure to
Right.
something much more fluid and collaborative.
Exactly.
Which makes total sense in today's world, right? Everything's connected.
Absolutely.
But this co-working thing, it feels like it's exploded recently.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing the idea itself has been around longer, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What's the history there?
Well, you could trace the roots back a while. There were hints of it in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But the co-working we know now, the real formalized version,
Right.
that really took off around 2005 in San Francisco.
Oh, San Francisco makes sense.
Yeah, and from there it just spread globally.
Yeah.
And Singapore was one of the early adopters. They saw the potential.
So what made Singapore so receptive to this? What was it about the environment there?
I think a few things came together.
Yeah.
First, Singapore's got a really strong entrepreneurial scene.
Right.
It's a major business hub in Asia.
Mm.
And that naturally creates a demand for workspaces that are adaptable and affordable.
Makes sense, especially for startups and smaller companies.
Exactly. And then you've got the government in Singapore. They've always been big on innovation and economic growth.
Right.
And that kind of indirectly helped co-working grow.
Yeah, I see how that.
It fits into that bigger goal of encouraging businesses and creating a good environment for them.
So the foundation was already there for this flexible work model to take off.
You could say that, yeah.
Okay, so imagine walking into a typical co-working space in Singapore.
Okay.
What's the vibe? What are the things you notice right away?
Well, there are a few key features that really make co-working spaces attractive.
All right, let's hear them.
First off, flexibility.
Okay, flexibility.
Unlike traditional office leases where you're locked in for a long time,
Yeah.
co-working spaces offer all these different membership options.
Right.
You can get a day pass, a monthly subscription. Some places even do hourly rates.
Wow, so you can really tailor it to what you need.
Exactly. That adaptability is huge.
That makes a lot of sense, especially if you're trying to keep costs down or your needs change a lot.
Absolutely. And then you've got the amenities.
Okay, amenities, what kind of stuff are we talking?
Most places will give you the essentials like high-speed internet, Wi-Fi, and wired,
Right.
often with backup systems, just in case.
Uh-huh.
You'll also have meeting rooms, presentation tools, usually a communal area with coffee, kitchen stuff, printers, all that.
So it's like having a fully equipped office without having to manage it all.
Exactly. It takes the hassle out of it.
And then there's the community aspect.
Yeah, that's a big one.
What does that look like in a co-working space?
Well, they really try to build a sense of belonging, encourage networking, the workshops, social events, that kind of thing.
Right.
But it's also about the day-to-day interactions. You're
Yeah,
not just renting a desk. You're part of a network.
I can see how that could lead to collaborations, opportunities you wouldn't find otherwise.
That's the idea. Those chance encounters can spark something new.
That's cool. And then there's location, right? Singapore's got co-working spaces all over the place.
Yeah, all over the island.
So what are some of the key areas?
Well, you've got the Central Business District, the CBD.
Right, the heart of it all.
Those spaces tend to be geared towards finance, legal, tech professionals.
Makes sense. That's the dominant vibe there.
Yeah, you'll find a mix of super high-end places with all the bells and whistles,
Fancy.
and then more community-focused ones, but still professional.
Right.
The big advantage of the CBD is location and accessibility.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it comes at a price.
Oh yeah, you're paying a premium for that central location.
All right, so what about outside the CBD? What other areas are popular?
In East Singapore, places like Katong and Juchiet,
Okay.
you get a different feel. It's more relaxed, more residential.
Ah, a little more chill.
Yeah, the spaces tend to be smaller, more focused on community. They attract a lot of freelancers, creatives, smaller businesses.
Right, people who want something less intense than the CBD.
Exactly, and you're close to all those great local cafes and restaurants.
That's a good perk.
Definitely. And then in West Singapore, the One North area is becoming a hub.
One North. Haven't heard of that.
It's gaining popularity, especially for tech and innovation.
Okay.
You've got startups, research companies, people connected to the universities and research institutions nearby.
So it's a bit more of a specialized ecosystem.
You could say that, yeah.
So it sounds like choosing a location isn't just about the space itself.
Right.
It's about the whole surrounding vibe and the community you want to be part of.
Absolutely. Finding the right fit.
Now, we talked about cost effectiveness earlier.
Uh-huh.
Can you break down the financials a bit? How does co-working actually compare to a traditional office in Singapore?
Sure. So when you look at a traditional office, all the expenses add up quickly.
Yeah, what kind of stuff are we talking about?
Rent for the space, utilities, electricity, water, ongoing maintenance, repairs,
Oh, right.
furniture, setting everything up initially.
It's a lot.
It could be a huge financial burden, especially for new or smaller businesses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With co-working, it's usually an all-inclusive membership fee.
Okay, so one predictable cost instead of a bunch of unpredictable ones.
Exactly. That membership often covers rent, utilities, routine maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Furniture is usually provided. The setup is minimal.
So you're basically just bringing your laptop and getting to work?
Pretty much, yeah.
So let me see if I can summarize this.
Okay.
With a traditional office, you've got potentially big monthly costs for rent, utilities,
Yeah.
maintenance,
Right.
plus a big chunk of money up front for furniture and setup.
Uh-huh.
And with co-working, a lot of that gets rolled into one membership fee,
Yeah.
potentially saving you a ton of money each month.
It could be a big difference, especially for startups.
That's huge, especially if you can reinvest those savings back into the business.
Absolutely, every dollar counts.
Yeah. Beyond the financial side, what other major advantages do co-working spaces offer in Singapore? We touched on networking, but what else?
Yeah, the networking opportunities are huge.
Right.
Co-working spaces bring together people from all these different backgrounds, industries, companies.
It's like a melting pot.
Yeah, and that creates a space for interactions, knowledge sharing, collaborations.
You might not get that in a traditional office.
Not as easily, no.
Yeah. So how can people make the most of those networking opportunities?
Be proactive, engage with the community,
Okay, specific examples.
go to the events, the workshops, the social gatherings the space organizes,
Right.
participate in online forums, connect with other members,
Mm.
be open to conversations, share your work, see if there are any opportunities to collaborate on projects.
So it's about putting yourself out there, being part of the ecosystem.
Exactly, make those connections.
And we talked about flexibility as a benefit. How does that play out in practice?
Well, flexibility and scalability are super valuable. With traditional leases, you're stuck in a long-term contract.
Yeah.
But with co-working memberships, you've got way more agility. Let's say your business grows rapidly and you need more space.
Yeah.
You can usually just adjust your membership, get more desks, maybe even a bigger office.
And it's relatively easy to do that.
Usually, yeah, way easier than renegotiating a whole new lease.
That's a huge advantage.
And if you need to downsize, it's also much simpler.
Makes sense. So you can ride those ups and downs without being tied down by your workspace.
Exactly. It helps businesses evolve without being held back by their commitments.
It's like built-in resilience.
You could say that, yeah.
Now, you mentioned co-working spaces all over Singapore. Do different areas have their own specialties?
They do, yeah.
Okay, give us the rundown.
Like we talked about, the Central Business District, the CBD.
Right.
That's where you'll find a lot of finance, legal tech professionals.
Uh-huh.
It's a mix of really high-end spaces and more community-focused ones.
So you've got options.
Yeah, but it comes at a cost. That central location is prime real estate.
Right, right. What about outside the CBD?
East Singapore, areas like Katong and Jo Chiat, that's where you find a more relaxed vibe.
Okay,
More residential, smaller spaces, real emphasis on community.
I can see that.
A lot of freelancers, creative types,
Ah.
smaller businesses there.
Right, right. What about West Singapore?
West Singapore, specifically One North, that's becoming a hub for tech and innovation.
Interesting. So it's getting specialized.
Yeah, you've got startups, research-focused companies, people connected to the universities and research institutions nearby.
Makes sense. It's building its own ecosystem.
Exactly. Different areas, different vibes.
So choosing a location is about more than just finding a desk.
Absolutely.
It's about the whole community and the kind of environment you want to work in.
finding the right fit.
Now, beyond location, what about amenities? What can someone expect when they join a co-working space in Singapore?
High-speed internet is a given.
Yeah, that's essential.
Most places have robust Wi-Fi, often wired connections too.
Right.
And some even have backup systems to prevent downtime.
Smart. You don't want to lose connection in the middle of something important.
Not at all.
It's what else?
Meeting rooms and event spaces are also standard,
Okay.
usually equipped with presentation stuff, video conferencing.
Right. Got to have those tools.
You can book them by the hour or the day.
Makes sense.
And some places even have larger areas for workshops and events.
So you can really scale up if you need to.
Exactly.
What about wellness? Is that a thing in co-working spaces?
More and more, yeah.
Okay, what kind of stuff are we talking about?
They're starting to realize how important employee well-being is.
Yeah.
So you might find gyms, fitness studios, even meditation rooms or nap rooms,
Wow, that's cool.
outdoor spaces for breaks, showers, bike storage, that kind of thing.
So it's going beyond just the basic office setup.
Definitely. It's about creating a more holistic work experience.
That makes a lot of sense. So where do you see co-working going in the future?
I think it's here to stay, and it's going to keep evolving in some really interesting ways.
All right, let's hear those predictions.
We're going to see more technology integrated into these spaces.
Like what?
Smart office tech, managing lighting, temperature, booking rooms automatically.
Hmm.
Video conferencing will probably become even more sophisticated.
Right.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing AI tools
AI? Interesting.
suggesting networking opportunities, potential collaborations based on your skills and interests.
So it's taking that community aspect to another level.
Exactly.
Well,
So I
wait.
think we'll see more niche co-working spaces,
Okay. Niche how?
spaces that cater to specific industries,
Right.
like tech startups, creative professionals, maybe even specific types of businesses.
So it's getting even more targeted.
Yeah, fostering more focused communities.
Makes sense. People with shared expertise and challenges can connect on a deeper level.
Absolutely.
What about government support? Do you see that continuing?
Oh, yeah, I think
Oh.
so. The government sees the potential of co-working. It fosters innovation, helps new businesses, boosts the economy.
So it's a win-win.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it sounds like co-working is becoming a permanent part of the work landscape in Singapore.
I think that's a safe bet.
So for someone out there thinking about joining a co-working space, what advice would you give them? How do they choose the right one?
Choosing the right co-working space is all about figuring out what you need.
Okay, break that down.
First, be honest with yourself about your work style.
Mm.
Do you like a busy, collaborative environment? Or do you need peace and quiet to focus?
Right. Big difference.
Think about your team size, how much you might grow in the future.
Okay.
If you're in a specific industry, does being around other people in that industry matter to you?
I can see how that would be valuable.
And of course, think about your budget. Factor in any extra costs beyond the basic membership.
So it's not just about picking the coolest looking place.
Not necessarily, no.
Once you've got a handle on your needs, what's next?
Look at the different membership options.
Okay.
You've got hot desks. Those are unassigned, first come, first serve.
Right, right.
Dedicated desks where you have your own spot.
Yeah.
And then private offices for more privacy, but usually more expensive.
It's a whole spectrum.
Yeah, weigh the pros and cons of each type against your budget and how you work.
So you can find the level of commitment that's right for you.
Exactly.
Any other tips?
Don't underestimate the community and culture of the space.
Okay, that's important.
A good community can provide amazing networking opportunities and make you feel like you belong.
Yeah, I can see that.
To get a feel for the community, go to events, talk to current members, just observe how people interact. Is it friendly? Is it collaborative? Or is it more every person for themselves?
You want to find your tribe, basically.
Exactly. A place where you feel comfortable and productive.
And one last thing I'm curious about is how co-working spaces have affected the real estate market in Singapore.
They've had a big impact.
Okay, in what ways?
Well, for one thing, they help optimize the use of commercial spaces.
How so?
Landlords are starting to see co-working operators as valuable tenants.
Okay.
They can fill those empty spaces, especially in older buildings or less desirable areas.
Makes sense. Those spaces might struggle to find traditional tenants.
Yeah, and by turning those spaces into co-working hubs, landlords can attract all sorts of businesses.
So it revitalizes those properties.
Exactly. Brings in more people, creates a more vibrant environment.
Has a ripple effect on the whole area.
Definitely. And another thing is occupancy rates.
Okay.
Instead of relying on a few big tenants,
Mm.
landlords who partner with co-working operators can have a much higher occupancy rate.
Makes sense. It's a lot of smaller businesses and individuals all under one roof.
Right, and that creates a more stable income stream for the landlord.
Less risk involved.
Yeah, it's a more resilient model.
So co-working is actually changing the game for property owners.
It is, yeah.
And then there's the revenue side.
Right.
How does co-working affect that?
Co-working spaces can create new revenue streams for both landlords and the operators themselves. It's not just about renting desks. They have different membership tiers. They charge for meeting rooms, event spaces, and they might offer other services like printing, virtual office support, workshops, even training programs.
So it's a multifaceted business model.
Yeah, and it can be very adaptable and potentially more profitable than traditional leasing.
So it sounds like co-working is benefiting both sides. The business is looking for space and the property sector.
Definitely a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive into the world of co-working in Singapore.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground.
We've seen how they offer a flexible, cost-effective alternative to traditional offices.
Right.
They're great for networking, and they come with all sorts of amenities.
Definitely a lot to offer.
And as we've heard, there are tons of options in Singapore, something for everyone.
Yeah, find the right fit for you.
So for anyone listening, I want to leave you with this thought.
No.
As co-working keeps growing and changing, how might it reshape not just where you work, but how you connect and collaborate in the future?
It's an interesting question.
Could it lead to entirely new business hubs in Singapore? New centers of innovation?
It's definitely a possibility.
The way we work is constantly evolving, and co-working is playing a huge role in that.
Absolutely, it's shaping the future of work.
It's exciting to think about.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, keep exploring those new ways of working. You never know what you might discover.
That's the spirit.